Every year or so, there's a discussion centered around players who played during the 1980s and 90s and their ability to not only play, but to dominate in today's NBA. Whether it's because today's players are thought of to be softer or that the league got rid of major rule changes to make offense quote unquote easier, or simply because they're competitive, egotistical super athletes who have the most confidence in themselves to dominate against anybody at any time. Some former players have come together like the Avengers to confidently say that in the 90s, LeBron would have been just an average player. That's crazy. Some of these theorists go as far as stating that had Michael Jordan played in today's NBA, he would have averaged a 40-point triple-double. Not just 40 points per game across an 82-game season that's only been accomplished twice by we all know who, but 40 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists per game. If any player has a 40-point triple-double once in a season, it's viewed as an incredible feat. It's an uncommon stat line among the game's top players. But to average those numbers across a season sounds fictional. And until someone builds a time machine to grab a 27-year-old Michael Jordan and throw him into today's NBA, there's quite honestly no way to know what MJ would average. That would be the case if Daryl Ventura never existed. Daryl Ventura is a writer at Medium.com who crunched the numbers to give us the closest estimate for what type of wizardry Jordan would pull off in today's NBA. And to put the 40-point triple-double into perspective, the closest season Mike had to averaging a triple-double was the 1989 season. He averaged 32.5 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists per game. Since then, the NBA has added two major rules that increased offensive production in the NBA: the defensive 3 seconds and the elimination of the hand-checking rule. Since 2003, a team's points per game has gone up 18%, and a team's field goal percentage has soared to over 46% despite players taking nearly triple the amount of three-pointers. Adjusting Jordan's stats based on how much scoring has increased in the NBA, in his near triple-double season, MJ would have theoretically averaged 38.5 points per game. Now throw in one more point and an increased pace from what it was 25 years ago. It would give Jordan the chance to grab a few more rebounds, a couple of assists, and a 40-point triple-double doesn't seem out of reach. George Karl may not be delusional after all. But that isn't the craziest part. According to the numbers, in his 13-year career as a Chicago Bull, MJ would have averaged 38 points per game. And at his scoring peak in the 1987 season, he would have averaged 44 points per game in today's NBA. Maybe the old heads do have a point. There's no doubt that Jordan would benefit from the rules in today's NBA. Would he average 40? Yeah. A 40-point triple-double? If he put his mind to it? Probably. From the way that offense is played nowadays, a 40-point triple-double doesn't seem outlandish. But we'll never know the truth, because these are useless NBA stats. LeBron James recently became the first player in NBA history to surpass the 39,000 points mark. As a result of his quite literal, unstoppable style of play, he's been able to create easy shots for himself and his teammates, all thanks to one of the most dominant skills the league has ever seen: dunks and layups. It sounds so simple. Just put a shot blocker in the paint when you face Bron and you'll be good. Coaching staffs wish it was that easy, because 21 years deep into his career, and there isn't a human capable of stopping him when he's going downhill. In the NBA, LeBron has made over 5,500 layups and more than 2,100 dunks. That's right, over 2,000 dunks, comfortably placing him fourth in NBA history in terms of total dunks in the regular season. And he's alongside centers: Dwight Howard, Shaq, DJ, Tyson Chandler. LeBron is the outlier. He's a small forward who spends the majority of his time out on the perimeter, and when he wants to get into the paint, he could do so at will. Pretty cool stat, but there's more to it. Let's say we were to remove the most unstoppable part of LeBron's game. Is he still dominant and just as great of a scorer? Remove all those easy-ass layups and dunks, and this dude sucks, I swear. Oh, he's still ranked as the 33rd greatest scorer ever. Get rid of every dunk and layup of his career that account for more than 15,000 points. It would leave him with over 23,911 points in his career. Eliminate the most dominant force in his game, and he still outperforms all-time greats like Larry Bird, Stephen Curry, DeMar DeRozan, and his boy D Wade. For those who say he's good at scoring only because he's athletically gifted, you're crazy. This stat is still useless. It proves what we already knew about LeBron. He's a jack of all trades. As he's lost some of his athleticism and explosiveness over the years, he's transformed his skill set from all-out force to finesse, and he's still been able to dominate. But why would LeBron or any other player not lay the ball up or throw it down during their entire career? That doesn't make sense. It's just another useless stat. And at one point, the three-point shot was useless. Then it became normal. Then it became popular. And then it exploded into something that nobody could have predicted. The emphasis on the three-pointer today is arguably greater than any scheme or offensive loophole that's been abused to score points. Jack up as many threes as you can, and you'll either lose by 50 one week or win by 40 the next. It depends on the night, and it depends even more on the shooters that teams are letting take these deep shots. More than ever, we have seen players sign lucrative contracts with the sole reason being they can shoot. Michael Jordan made over $86 million during his time in the NBA. Davis frickin' Bertans has made just $7 million less in his career. All he does is stand in the corner, wait for the ball to swing his way, and jack up a three. The three ball has created careers for dozens of players. And thanks to Steph Curry, there are players today that solely rely on the three to create a career for themselves. If Steph was never proficient in shooting the deep ball, his career would have taken a complete 180 into a pass-first point guard, or maybe he just never reaches the success that he has now. If we got rid of every three-pointer that Curry has made in his career, he would be left with over 18,000 career points, knocking him down from having the 39th most points in NBA history down to the 71st spot with the likes of Isaiah Thomas and Jason Terry. A peek inside what Curry's career may have looked like had he not relied on the three. Still great, but not legendary. Let's say we took the 10 greatest three-point shooters of all time and got rid of all of their threes to illustrate who has relied on the three the most in their career. These are their career point totals and their all-time scoring rank on the left. And on the right are those same players without the three-point shot. Guys like LeBron, Vince Carter, and James Harden suffered the smallest drop-offs, simply because they have other aspects to their game that allows them to score efficiently. If the three-pointer never existed, these guys would have no problem carving out a career for themselves in the NBA. On the flip side, Kyle Korver and Klay Thompson wouldn't be the players that they were if it wasn't for the three. Would they become mid-range specialists, or would they turn into a modern-day Steve Kerr? Stand in the corner and patiently wait for the ball to swing your way. Something tells me Klay wouldn't have the patience for that. Without the three-point line, there are many NBA careers that would be in question. But 44 years after its introduction, that 23-foot 9-inch line from the basket is more present than it's ever been. Some of the greatest shooters on the planet may not have a career without the three, but it doesn't matter. It's just another stat that holds no purpose. Similar to what fans thought when the in-season tournament was announced. And then it quickly became one of the greatest additions the league has ever made. The do-or-die games in the knockout rounds bring excitement and intensity for every second of the game, as fans were usually spending the entire regular season waiting for the playoffs, and at times were wishfully hoping for a Game 7, one game to decide your entire season. That's why the in-season tournament is so good. But what does NBA history look like had the league taken the approach of the in-season tournament, March Madness, or the NFL? What if once the playoffs started, the winner of every game won in every round would immediately move on? I've gone through every series of the last 23 NBA finals to determine how much of history would have actually changed. In last season's playoffs, these were the matchups headed into round 1. And if the winner of every game 1 moved on, it would look like this. No changes in the East, but in the West, Sacramento would have snuck past the Warriors, and the Clippers would have upset the Suns. Now with these round 2 matchups, there are some series that didn't actually happen, like the Nuggets versus Clippers series, so we don't actually know who would have won game 1. For these cases, we'll take the winner of their first regular season clash against each other, and in this case, the Nuggets move on. Do this for every series, for the conference finals, and we're left with the same finals matchup. Denver wins game 1, so our champion remains the same. How exciting. Now do this for every series of the last 22 years, and it looks like this. With single game knockouts, only 8 of the last 23 champions remain the same. And to all of our demise, the Warriors' dynasty still takes place during the late 2010s. Except they three-peated this time. History repeats itself as Miami captures 2 titles during the LeBron era, and the Kobe and Shaq Lakers run it back. To everyone's surprise though, Phoenix and Orlando captures their first championship in franchise history, and the Sacramento Kings would have won back-to-back titles in 2003 and 2004. History would have been flipped upside down, dude. LeBron carries Cleveland to a championship in 2009, Derrick Rose brings the Bulls back to the mountaintop, and Brooklyn's Big Three actually gets it done. Had the NBA followed in the footsteps of college basketball or the NFL with a winner-take-all format, we'd be looking at players and franchises much differently with a ring on their finger. But we won't. It never happened, because these are useless NBA stats.